Hey everybody, it's Sam. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that in this episode, you'll notice that Matt was trying something a little different with his microphone. He got a new computer, he plugged some things in, and this is how it came out sounding. It's not too bad, and I sent it to our dear friend Tuna to do a little tweaking on. So, hopefully you can get past that he sounds like he's at the bottom of a well and enjoy this episode about the ghost of Faffner Hall. Oh, hey, the podcast is about to start, so I better go.
Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are heading into October of 1989 to discuss 3 more episodes of a little show known as The Ghost of Faffner Hall.
How long have we been in the 80s for?
Don't ask that question.
It feels like we're
never.
never.
Sad.
Okay, don't tell me.
I want you to guess.
Well, did Muppet Show end in 79 or 80?
No, it was still going into the 80s.
Oh, fuck. So it's been a long time. Then it's been like 3.5 years? Could that be? How long have we done this podcast for? 5 years?
5
so
years,
we've actually probably
exactly.
been in the 80s. We've probably been in the 80s for actually like 4 years.
We entered the 80s in May of 2022. So almost 4 years ago.
Wow. We're almost done too.
So what that also means is that in the first year of this podcast, we went from 1955 to 1980.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 4 years since then, we've gone from 1980 to 1989.
What have we done? We keep finding new ways to interpret this data to make ourselves miserable.
Oh, wow. Pre-Sesame Street, there was not a lot of things happening. So it was like TV appearances or TV specials once every couple of years that were like a half hour long. So we had a lot less to watch before Sesame Street happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now, oh boy, apparently we'll be in the 90s for 20 years at this rate. So we'll never, ever talk about Muppets from Space at this rate.
And by the end of it, our episodes will be 4 hours long.
Yeah. Actually, it's just going to become a 24-hour live stream to keep up. Well, those Faffner Hall episodes we are here to talk about today are the 4th, 5th, and 6th episodes of the 13 total episodes. So we're about halfway through this show now. And these episodes are called Music is More Than Technique, The Voice is an Instrument, and Reacting to Sounds.
Oh, okay.
They continue to have uninspired.
The last one is just like one of the tests for if you're alive,
Well, and I feel like Music is More Than Technique and The Voice is an Instrument. They get away with explaining why that is the title.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the thesis statement they wrote down first before they wrote the script.
Right.
And then someone just snagged that off their desk and they're like, hold on, I didn't write down a title yet. And like, this is fine. But reacting to sounds for what that episode is about is the most boring way to describe that episode.
But the real title for that episode would be what? Would be like...
Too Many Ghosts.
Too Many Ghosts. The Half-Century Ghost Search or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. It's too bad we can't go back in time to the 80s and be writers, because I think people would think we were pretty good at it.
But again, we would always need that one person in the room who's giving us the bad idea first.
Yeah, that's true.
We need
Well,
the
that's
person
why
to
we
be
lived
like,
in the future first.
I wrote an episode called Reacting to Sounds. We're like, ha, I know you did. But see, we think that's a bad title. And
I
in
know
the
you
80s,
did.
TV episode titles are really important because everyone
because everybody knows.
remembers.
Well, but in this show, they do show the title at the beginning.
That's true.
So
maybe they
yeah.
think they're being like sneaky, like no one will know what this episode's about.
Or if
because
they
we'll just
make
call it
them
reacting to sounds.
If they make them boring enough, it's like parents will see it and be like, my children are learning. Thank you for the show.
As opposed to Too Many Ghosts, they'd be like, whoa, I don't know if my kid can watch Too Many Ghosts.
I can't even do one ghost. That's satanic. Yeah, especially in the 80s. The Satanic Panic. That was the 70s. Probably still going on a little bit in the 80s.
They had moved on from Satan to ghosts. In the 80s.
Yeah. That's the Ghostbusters.
They really, that's why they were heroes.
We needed the catharsis of seeing those ghosts go away.
Well, it's been forever, Sam, since we recorded. The audience won't know that necessarily just by listening to the episodes because this will come out the week after the last episode.
Yeah.
But in that episode, we talk about how we recorded it on February 15th.
Yeah.
And that was the last time we recorded an episode.
Oh, wow.
And today, as we record, it is March 22nd.
What the hell? It's been way longer than I even thought it had been.
Well, we've been up to a lot of things since then, Sam, because you and I went to New Orleans.
On a work trip. We went to New Orleans for a work trip.
Yeah, we went to New Orleans on a work trip. Complexly, the company we work at for our, actual jobs, had a big summit retreat thing there. So we got to hang out for a few days in New Orleans. And
we should have pitched recording a live one in front of all of our coworkers. Would that be the worst thing you could think of doing ever?
I mean, it did when you said it. I was like, that is the thing that Sam would actually want to do the least that he just said. Like, I don't think you've ever lied to our listeners more than you saying that you think that's a good idea.
I'd be so sick. And everybody else would be like, this fucking sucks.
It was bad enough that there was multiple times during the week where I'd be talking to a group of folks we work with. And we have a pretty big company these days. It's like 80 people. And most of these people I don't work with on a daily basis. Some of them I had never met before and never spoken to. So I might be in a circle with somebody I know really well and somebody I've never spoken to before. And the person I know really well might say something about, hey, you and Sam.
What a nice, helpful person. Yes, Matt has a podcast. The last thing you want to hear when you're a podcaster or when you're anyone else.
Is the words, Matt has a podcast. And so, then I would have to explain to somebody who doesn't even really know who I am. Like, they worked at the company for like 6 months to a year. We've never interacted. And this person just tells them, oh, by the way, this person you've just met, you don't know, has a podcast with this other guy
that
you might know.
Maybe.
And it's about Muppets.
And do you want to listen to it for 500 hours? You're in luck.
So that was...
But wait. But it is kind of, once you start explaining it, it is kind of like... Because sometimes people are like, they started in 1955? Or like, I don't know. Once you get into it, it's not that bad. But just the beginning where it's like you're walking uphill, like, okay, Jim Henson, and then they're like, oh, so you watch like the Muppet Show? And you're like, well, we watched the Ghost of Faffner Hall.
The thing is, I feel like with Complexly, the odds of people working there knowing of the Muppets and being maybe interested in the Muppets is higher than the average just normal company, I would say, because there are a lot of creative folks. There was conversations that came up where I would find out that somebody I just met, their favorite Muppet is Rolf. And I'm like, good choice.
Oh, yeah. Right.
You did it.
Right.
But occasionally you do run into people who are like, oh, the Muppets have done enough for there to be a podcast about them. And you're like, oh, I'll say yes because it's true. But I also... I'm happy to end the conversation here if you want to.
There needs to be a button or something that they can push.
That was our New Orleans experience.
So that's why we shouldn't record a podcast in front of everybody we work with, because they would say like, oh, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the Muppet movie. Unfortunately, we're on the 7th episode of Ghost of Faffner Hall, so you're gonna have to hear my thoughts on Fugetta and Fargus.
Now, I'm not suggesting we ever do this idea, but if we were going to do it, I feel like the only way we could do that and make it fun for everyone is if we had a live episode where we watched and reviewed some of the Muppet meeting films.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Because some of those are about like work summits and retreats,
Right.
and, the lectures that bosses give and the coffee breaks. And so
yeah,
I think there's things in those that could.
We could do a little mini episode. We're not recording we're not doing 2.5 hours.
There was no world in which I envisioned us doing an actual full-length episode in front of everyone. None of our sessions we even did at the summit were 2 hours long. So the idea of us getting
Having
the
the
longest chunk
one.
of time to do a Muppet podcast, I think we would have to be the CEOs of that company to ever make that happen.
Yeah. Okay, what else did we do? Then I went to South by Southwest.
You got stuck there for a while.
And I got stuck there. I was supposed to come back for a recording on Sunday, but as you probably, I think today is actually even worse than ever because the airport industry is just falling apart because there's no security, and today ICE is getting sent to be, or tomorrow. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I think I was experiencing the beginning of that because I was in the Austin airport and I was looking at the big board and everything started going canceled.
Oh, dang.
Canceled. And I thought, oh, fuck. And then they told me it was Friday and my flight got canceled and they said, we're going to tell you what to do by Monday. It's like, and the guy said, if you live here, you can go home. And
well, yeah, that was always an option.
Yeah. Somebody else brought that up too.
I didn't think I was stuck in the airport.
Imagine having to be told that. I don't know what he was thinking.
You're allowed to leave.
I don't know what he was thinking. But then I flew back to New Orleans and hung out there until Monday with my parents instead. But I missed our recording. So that was my fault. But I missed it. Did you miss me?
I mean, I saw you a lot.
Oh, but this is a different thing. This is our thing.
There is my favorite thing that happens when you and I happen to be in the same small group of people talking is like Muppets will come up or something about the podcast will come up. And then you and I might accidentally steer into like almost like a business conversation about the podcast of like, oh, yeah, we have that recording happening. And I can start to see the other people in the circle go, I don't care about this.
Well, I do, so listen.
Yeah, like they cared about the Muppets fun part of it.
Yeah.
If we were going to talk about like,
it's the business bit. It's showbiz. You don't care about show. It's sexy.
Yeah, we are the sexy Muppet podcast. Everyone's always wondering which one it is. It's this one.
It's Muppeturgy. They're
sexier damn it.
Than us.
You're not supposed to disagree immediately. Well, it has been a long time. And while I maybe wasn't excited to dive into what we are here to talk about today, it did feel like, blowing the dust off a little bit to watch less than mediocre show. I don't know. There's something about this show specifically that much like Muppet Babies, makes me excited to talk to you about it. Yeah. Because I have zero idea what you're going to think about it until we talk about it.
Yeah. I think with Muppet Babies, it's more clear that we're going to say, what the fuck is going on here?
And at this point, I know the pain points with Muppet Babies of what you and I like or dislike about certain characters or beats. Yeah. With this show doesn't know what it is from one episode to the next. This show just changed
completely in these 3 episodes, I feel like. All of a sudden, it was so,
Well, let's just get into it. Okay. Sam, what did we watch this week?
Wow, you even forgot how to ask me.
I know. Well, I was in the middle of already talking about it and then had to ask you. So, Sam, what did we watch this week?
First, we watched Music is More Than Technique, air date October 2nd, 1989. This was an HBO show, by the way. It was on HBO. The Great Paganini, a concert violinist. Is that right? Violinist. Pianist is such a better word than violinist that it's throwing me off,
I mean, not for somebody who plays the violin, though.
Oh, it's great. It's the sweetest word in the world for them. So Piganini has come to town and is playing a show in Faffner Hall. Tickets have sold out and everyone at the hall is excited to make some much needed money, but there's a big problem. All Piganini knows how to play are scales, and when the Faffner staff tells him he needs to play actual music, he freaks out and runs away. Before the concert is canceled, though, Piganini runs into the janitor, who happens to be legendary guitarist Ry Cooder, who gives Piganini a lesson in letting music flow from his heart and soul. Piganini is reborn and takes the stage to play his little pig heart out. Then we watched The Voice is an Instrument from October 9th, 1989. A zookeeper bought Faffner Hall and is rounding up all the monsters and animals to turn the hall into a zoo. In order to buy the hall back, it's just hitting me how much money they spend in total buying this hall and saving this hall every week. How does this work? Can they never buy it? So like the title, they never buy it. So the title goes to any of them. They're just like, here, Farkas, here's the money back, you idiot.
They had the perfect opportunity in this episode to solve all of their problems.
Yeah, they really did. You're right.
And they just decide, hey, just undo one step in the process.
Yeah.
And give the hall back to Farkas, so that we still have enough problems to make a TV show.
There was like a couple different ways they could have played it. We'll talk about that. So anyway, the mad impresario convinces Fugetta to put on a singing concert because people will come from far and wide to see a singing ghost. For some reason in this episode, though, Fugetta doesn't like to sing, even though that's like kind of I thought was her thing. So anyway, she's nervous until jazz singer Marion Montgomery teaches her how to loosen up and let her voice flow. Unfortunately, Farkas pulled a nasty trick and reserved all the tickets under different fake names and took down all the posters for the show, meaning that nobody even knows that this concert is happening and they haven't actually made any money at all. Fortunately, the zookeeper has fallen in love with Fugetta, and trades her the hall back in exchange for listening to her sing, and the day is saved. Finally, we watched Reacting to Sounds from October 16th, 1989. Once every 50 years, Fugetta needs to investigate the hall from top to bottom to ensure that no other ghosts live there, because according to the ghost rules, only one ghost is allowed per house. Today is the day of her ghost audit, which Farkas catches wind of and pretends to be J.J. Riddy, the real-life deceased inventor of the cash register. But since the entirety of his trick consists of putting a sheet on his head and making ghost sounds, he's quickly discovered, and everything's fine. There's about 4 minutes of plot in this episode, which is fine. We're not watching it for the plot. We're supposed to be watching it for the musical acts, but, a pretty weak sauce.
Like, to see the first two episodes take such a similar structure of the way that we're like, okay, so every week is we must put on a show to save the theater kind of show. And then I guess they kind of did this last time too, where the third episode's just bonkers and different.
Yeah. Was that the one where Mad Impresario? Oh, the alien one. Yeah. Right. And they put on a show. Okay, so but finish your thought.
Oh, maybe I did. I think it was just like you said, there was a pivot. The show is different. I don't know that it's different for good or from now on it will be different. Yeah.
The thing that bothered me about these episodes is the putting on the show thing. In the first 3 episodes, they were putting on a show. It seemed like just for the joy of putting on a show. And Farkas was trying to mess up the show just because he hates music. But now, all of a sudden, they're putting on a show to save the theater or to save the hall instead of just like for the fun of it. And it injected this like level of stress and like unpleasantness to me that kind of lost because I've kind of been thinking like, oh, you know what? In retrospect, that show was kind of fun to watch. But it was fun to watch because it felt like this weird place where anything could happen and they were doing something for the joy of it. And then these 3 episodes, like even Mad Impresario seemed kind of like
Wild Impresario.
Sorry. The
How
Wild
dare
Impresario.
You get his name wrong.
I'm so sorry. Even he seemed like, I said Mad earlier. I'm sorry, guys. I see it written in my notes right now. Even he's just like, we need to make some money. Where in the previous episodes, he was like, I love music so damn much. Yeah. And now he's just different.
It seems like his job is to save the theater every week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's like the loser thing that they keep injecting in the Muppets too, which is like these guys weren't losers last time we watched this. They were just little weirdos who had their own little commune going. But now they're like desperate.
I don't know why they feel the need to overcomplicate this show.
Mm-hmm.
They want to inject like 6 different problems into every episode.
Yeah.
And it's, you can't pay off 6 different problems. Or I guess maybe a different show could, and make those 6 problems connect in some way at the end.
Yeah,
that makes
right.
sense. Like
Right.
a lot of ensemble cast sitcoms kind of do that thing.
Uh-huh.
But this is not that kind of show.
Well, and those are written very intricately, so they're weaving into each other. But then this one at the end, they're like, "Oh yeah, we said Paganini's scared of ghosts, so I guess we better do something with that."
Yeah, that's precisely the episode I had in my head.
Why is he scared of ghosts? I have a lot of questions about Paganini.
Why is he scared of ghosts? Why is he scared of crowds? Why is he
How did he
famous
get
for one
famous
thing and
if he could
everyone
only-
hates that thing?
Yeah, if he could only play scales, he only wants to play scales. Why is everyone so mad at him? That's probably what he's thinking. That's why he runs away.
Well, speaking of the legendary Paganini, we might as well start off with Paganini because it's the first episode we watched.
So yeah, that makes sense. That follows the format we've established for the show so far.
Well, I just wanted to get wacky and change things up a little
Actually,
bit.
sometimes we do get a little weird with it. Is right.
Well, the first episode we watched this week is from October 2nd, 1989. It is called Music is More Than Technique, written by David Angus and Patrick Barlow and directed by Tony Kish. Still finding this theme song
That's
obnoxious.
so annoying. Yeah, the third time you listen to it is punishment.
Especially after finding out that the main singer of the theme song apparently can't sing and hates singing.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we noticed. We have to listen to you do it every week, but you're making us listen to you sing. I didn't even think about that. She sings in the beginning of the freaking show.
The first thing you learn about Ghost of Faffner Hall is, wow, that ghost sings.
Yeah, this is the singing ghost.
Yeah. But then for some reason in the second episode we watched this week, she's no longer a singing ghost.
So
But this first episode kicks off with Riff, who I feel like has added some physical comedy to his repertoire.
uh-huh.
I've noticed a few times this week in watching episodes, and maybe he was doing this in the first 3, and I was kind of ignoring him.
Uh-huh.
He just kind of does like a sight gag where he'll fall down, or at one point in this episode, he's playing piano and goes off the edge of the piano and falls off.
I didn't notice that.
It's not good. It's not like anything super exciting, but I think it's just like they gave Riff a little bit something more to do.
Yeah, they gave Mimi nothing to do. They took all of Mimi's stuff to do away too.
And are hinting at more of a relationship between the two of them than I feel like they previously had.
Like when she says, "Isn't he cute?" Is that what you mean?
Yeah, she calls him cute twice in one episode.
Interesting.
But this episode starts with Riff playing some piano as he's approached by Tootie, just a Muppet who has written a song. And Riff is weirdly strict and a little pretentious towards her.
He's kind of mean in this episode.
Yeah, he's claiming that it's not a song until it's sung.
Yeah.
And you don't need your lyric sheet. The song is in your heart.
He's an artiste. I went to art school with guys like that. I'm sure you did too.
Ooh, yeah. I think that's what art schools are built on.
Uh-huh.
Is a foundation of pretentious weirdos.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that's not too much judgment because Sam and I also had some pretentious weirdo in us, I am sure.
Maybe even hating the pretentious weirdos is being a pretentious weirdo in your own way.
Ooh, yeah.
It might be. But they're fucking annoying. And this guy, I mean, I do understand. I think usually I understand what they're trying to teach, I think is useful if you are a young person who's trying to do art. It's like useful to know eventually you have to just trust yourself. You can't just practice the fundamentals forever. Like you have to like open your heart up and figure out what you're trying to say. But I think I just said it better than they did. And maybe they didn't even mean to say that. No, I'm sure they did. But
I think they did. And I think you're right that you said it better than they did, because I think what this comes off as is much more gatekeepy and like, oh, wow, you still need sheet music.
Yes. This
You're not a
beginning
real
part
musician.
especially. Poor Tootie. She's really going through it in this part.
Yeah, Tootie's probably going to quit and leave Faffner Hall. Well, Mimi comes in to let Riff know that the most skillful violinist in the world is in town. This is important to hear how they talk about this man.
Yeah, because it sounds like they know everything about him.
Paganini is in town. He's not planning to come to Faffner Hall. It sounds like he just happens to be in town recording.
Yeah.
Fugetta pops in, who is also very excited to hear that Paganini is in town. And they all decide to rush off to the recording studio right away to meet Paganini.
I assume she can't leave the house, though, right? Is that how Fugetta can't?
I guess they say she is haunting this house,
Yeah.
so maybe that does restrain her.
And she doesn't go to the studio with them.
That is true.
Yeah.
I did also think to look up this week. I was like, is Fugetta a name? Because it didn't sound enough like a name in the past. And then we constantly have to remind ourselves how to actually say it.
Right.
Turns out it's a music thing. Because
It's a fugue.
Of course it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little fugue.
Did you didn't listen to classical music as a child, Matt?
No.
Oh, okay. My dad was a big classical music guy when I was a kid. Yeah, he had like a really nice stereo system and everything, and would listen to. He doesn't really listen to it anymore. He was an audiophile, yeah. That now he watches his TV with the TV speakers and that stuff. So it's all behind him. But
if it has anything to do with getting older and your hearing changing,
I don't know. I feel like our have just changed. Audiophile is a thing still, but I feel like it used to really be a thing when you could go and get stuff for more affordably than you can now. And it wasn't just because like we're limited to just sound bars basically at this point, unless you go to like a really specialty store.
Yeah, they've stopped prioritizing the like 7.1 Dolby surround sound, like have speakers all around your house kind of thing.
But that's what we had, and it was so fun to play like PlayStation on it because it sounded like you were there. But yeah, a fugetta is a thing too.
Yeah, maybe it's just like a shorter fugue.
Okay.
Well, they get to the recording studio, and when they get there, they don't see Paganini at first. They see Julia Fordham, an English singer who I am completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah, me too.
Even after listening to her songs on like YouTube and stuff, I was like, I have never heard one of these in my life.
Yeah, I was looking at her discography and thinking, I don't know. Very late 80s sounding though.
Yeah, this feels like the shelf life was about 7 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
in
no
1989.
thanks to Julia Fordham or her fans, but this sounds so much of this time that I can't imagine the 90s were kind to Julia Fordham.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say though, Julia Fordham, pretty good actor as far as the musical guests on Faffner Hall go.
I thought so too. I think most people did pretty good. I think Ry Cooder didn't do the best, but he played so good it didn't matter. But the conductor in the later episode, he did pretty good. Dizzy Gillespie was really fun. That jazz singer lady I thought did a good job too.
Don't worry, folks. We'll list their names eventually as we get there.
Yeah.
It's not a guessing game. But yes, she is here recording. But Paganini shows up to take over her studio.
Yeah.
And she is the one who informs us that she is fully aware of Paganini. He is the legendary violinist known for playing violin scales. That is what he is famous for. And in this moment, I realize Paganini is a Sesame Street character.
Yeah, he is. You're right.
Like he's an operatic violinist pig who can only play scales.
Yeah, this works much better in a world where everyone has a child's mind and you can play a concert and play scales and everybody is a child. So they're like, great job. You did a great job, Paganini.
Well, and a character showing up on Sesame Street and everyone being astounded, like, oh my, you're the legendary guy who plays scales.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I am. Here's my scales. And they're like, whoa, that's a scale? Kids, this is what a scale is.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense than in this world where everyone's astounded that this guy can play scales, but then at some point turn on him pretty harshly for not being able to play real music.
Well, even Julia Fordham is like, no, I'm not going to sing scales, you idiot.
Yeah. The difference between scales and music is a very harsh line that everyone decides to draw at some point.
Well, they're right. I mean, it's like a paintbrush is an art. I suppose it is in a certain way of looking at it, but what's he recording? Is this just like the 40th album he's made where he plays the scales?
Well, but that's the thing is, I think initially in this episode, that's the fiction we're being sold, is that he is legendary for playing scales. So in my head, yeah, he's releasing albums of him just playing scales so good.
Yeah.
And then he's playing concerts of scales and everyone
Yeah.
shows up because he's so famous and legendary that I just accept it at this point that, oh, okay, yeah. In this world, he is such a good violinist that people will pay him to just play scales.
I think maybe, okay, I'm sorry. It's probably boring when I rewrite episodes in my head. But if he like confided in Riff that he was ready to do something else, but like too scared, maybe that would be different than everybody being all of it. Like, then this, like, what's it called? The mental gymnastics or whatever that you have to do to be like most famous guy in the world.
Disbelief.
Yeah. Most famous guy in the world. Everyone hates him and thinks he sucks. Is too weird. But if he was like, if Riff was like, that guy's not so great, or if he was like, Riff, I need to learn how to open my heart, but I don't know how, or like, I want to try something new, but I'm scared, maybe that would be better and less confusing.
Because everyone loves this guy. Everyone's excited to see him. They know about him.
Loves him. Yeah.
Everyone knows that he plays scales.
Yeah.
So for them to like halfway through question,
you can't play scales, what are you talking about? Yeah,
I don't know, it's I feel like this is a weird example, but I feel like it's like you're going to an autograph signing for Tom Brady and you get there and you're chatting to Tom Brady and you're like, so Tom Brady, how's your baseball?
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, are you good at baseball? He's like, no, I'm a football player. And it's like, oh wow, Tom Brady sucks at baseball, everyone. What a I hate this guy now. And it's like, but you liked what?
You hired him for a different thing.
Yeah. You knew what you were getting into. You seemed excited by what you were getting into. And suddenly you hate it for plot reasons, I think. But Julia Fordham will not give up her studio to Paganini. There's some small dispute.
Was it double booked? Did this tiger double book the theater? Yeah.
Yeah, this tiger who is becoming the Kirk from Gilmore Girls of Faffner Hall.
I like this guy.
Yeah. Later on, he is both a pianist and imprisoned at the same time. So since this studio is double booked, Riff and Mimi are like, hey, don't worry. Faffner Hall has this top-notch recording studio. Come record at Faffner Hall. We'll take care of you. So problem solved. But first, we have to listen to Julia Fordham perform a whole song.
I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I think I am.
It's definitely not the worst musical here this week.
No, wow, no, it's really not. Yeah, I think
there's something later on that in my notes I literally wrote, this is maybe my least favorite musical performance I've ever seen.
Oh wow, there's a couple I could think of that could be it. So, but I think I know which one it is. Yeah, I think I have to keep in mind that I should be watching the musical artists and enjoying them and not thinking this is a waste of time, because it's not. Really, it's like the point of the show, except the show never really says like, this is the point of the show,
right?
Or I don't know. It's not framing them correctly for me to not be like, or they need to, like, there's one where it's like the plot doesn't start 10 minutes into the episode because they're like hanging out with some conductor. So maybe give me a little bit at the beginning and say, this is what this episode's going to be about. And now this person's singing, because it hasn't bothered me all the time with the musical acts, especially like the couple dream sequence ones have been okay. But this one was, I think,
because they explain why they're there a little bit more. Whereas sometimes these are, we talked about this a lot with Fraggle Rock, where on Fraggle Rock, the music was always part of the plot. Like these characters are stopping and singing right now, and they're all aware that they're singing because they like singing and like music. Whereas, some musicals, like movies and TV shows, the music isn't actually happening in their life. It's just a way for them to express things, and they don't stop singing and go like, whoa, good song. And I feel like sometimes this show rides the line in the middle in an unclear way, where they're interacting with the person, they're listening to them play music, and they're talking about how this directly impacts their views of, oh, my voice is an instrument or whatever. Right. And then other times it's just, oh, I guess we have to stop and listen to this now because we paid this person to be here.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That is a big difference. You're right.
Well, Paganini, Mimi, and Riff return to Faffner Hall. And this is when we learn that Paganini is apparently familiar with Fugetta, the ghost of Faffner Hall, and is afraid of ghosts.
And it also introduces us to this idea that we're going to hear a couple more times in these episodes, that people in this universe suddenly don't believe in ghosts, and they're like afraid to expose that there is a ghost, or they just are like, people don't believe that Fugetta exists. Except that has not been the experience so far, is that people walk in and Fugetta goes, "Hey, what's up? I'm a ghost." And they go, "Cool."
Yeah. Like, presumably all these famous musicians who have been at the hall have met Fugetta
Yeah.
and have never run away screaming so far.
Yeah. Right.
Well, Paganini wanders into a new section of Faffner Hall that we have not seen before, a giant reverby concert hall, which, I enjoy seeing more parts of this building.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
He starts to play his D major scale, and Fugetta and the Wild Impresario and the Grunt Bags are all very excited by this.
The Grunt Bags who are don't just appear in this episode.
No, new, famous Faffner Hall characters, a couple of paper bags.
Yeah. I like when they walk in and the Wild Impresario says, "Hello, Grunt Bags." It's like the meanest thing you could call somebody.
Yeah, the old grunt bag.
It's like a Pete and Pete insult.
For those that are not watching this show along with us, the Grunt Bags are little paper lunch bags. It's like puppets you would make in fourth grade, with like some fur and eyeballs glued to them. And their way of communicating and singing is all just grunting.
They grunt. It's the three of them grunt in unison, the same grunt, which is kind of impressive. I do actually really like the Grunt Bags.
I don't mind the Grunt Bags. I was just shocked to see them twice.
Yeah, I was too. But yeah, I like Faffner Hall as a location. And I like the sort of like Doctor Who, or like, I don't know, it's like Scooby-Doo, like you open a door and you not really know like who's going to be behind it. And it just seems like alive in a weird way. I liked it better when they weren't trying really hard to save it in a financial way every week. But
I also wish there was a bit more of wandering the halls of Faffner Hall to get to the concert hall, that it wasn't just everything's just off screen.
Right.
Like, it feels like whenever they need to go to a new room, it's just behind the door right there.
Yeah.
And whereas if they had to wander for a half hour to find the concert hall or something,
right, looking in different doors, and it's like, oh, here's some honkers or whatever.
Yeah.
And they spend so much time in that basement with like the water dripping, like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the weird
like
basement.
Mimi and Riff's like clubhouse or whatever it is.
But all the characters find themselves in the basement all the time.
Well, you mentioned it. This is about 10 minutes into the episode. Suddenly we learn from the Wild Impresario that Paganini is the answer to his prayers. Because with the proceeds from a Paganini concert, they'll be able to pay all their bills.
Didn't seem like a problem before. Maybe Wild Impresario's doing something with all that. He's skimming off the top.
Who do they owe Farkas rent? Are they working with Farkas to pay a larger entity?
I guess power bills and stuff, right? Water, power. Maybe they rent some of the instruments. They're renting their grand piano or something. Who knows?
Yeah,
very
confusing.
Upkeep goes into a place like that. Probably they have. I mean, then they have janitors and stuff like that. They got staff. Mimi and Riff are staff.
I'm not saying they don't need money. Right. I'm saying it's weird that it's suddenly a problem.
Yes, it is. It is very weird and sad when they seemed so carefree previously.
Yeah, maybe it's the Wild Impresario became an adult this week.
He really did. Every time you see him, he's just like doing the bills and really half-heartedly being like, okay, that clock, I guess, is music. But he's mostly worried about money.
Even his, like, it's the song of the century is kind of half-assed this week.
Yeah, that's his. I didn't realize that was his thing.
Oh, yeah. He did that a couple times last time. And then
I didn't notice.
He did it a few times this time as well. But his heart wasn't in it this time.
Definitely not. Yeah.
But yeah, we learned that they'll have to close down Faffner Hall if they don't do this Paganini concert. A problem that if you had introduced it at the beginning of the episode might be more interesting. But because we don't find out about it until the solution shows up.
Yeah. I think actually another thing that rubbed me the wrong way about it was that it's setting the arts up to be, and maybe this is what bothers me about the Muppets sometimes too. It like sets the arts up to be like a loser's game, you know? Like,
right.
Like they're always trying to,
like, oh, you're going to art school? How are you going to pay your bills?
Yeah, we don't need to see that in a show where you're trying to teach kids. Like, I don't think the kids clock it, but maybe it does. It like puts a stink on it where it's like, oh, you guys are losers. No, they weren't losers up, but they have the most famous musicians in the world just like hanging out in there for no reason. They're not losers. This is like a fine establishment, and the reason Farkas is such a problem is because he like can't respect the art. But not anymore. Now they're just fucking losers, and maybe Farkas is right. Maybe it's not worth it.
My headcanon is that Farkas is secretly a performer himself who just needs the right outlet. And I'm hoping we get an episode at some point that Farkas turns a corner for me. But
yeah, almost every bad guy in every show like this has an episode where they end up like dancing ballet or something, and it's like, see, I have a beautiful heart in me. That would be funny if he was a dancer and he was like, fuck music. I like dancing.
This is the moment in the episode where we started to get a little weird about Paganini's scale playing.
Yeah.
Because Riff is trying to push Paganini to play music and not just scales.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not an acknowledgement of like, hey, I know this is what you're famous for. We all love your scales, but try playing this song.
What if he tried something else? Yeah.
What we just get is sort of Riff and Mimi bullying Paganini.
Yeah.
So much so that they start playing their own song and he runs away.
He also he doesn't need to be afraid of ghosts. And at the end, there's no reason for him to be afraid of ghosts.
No, it doesn't matter at all.
No.
But we get a plot point now that we're going to see, I think, time and time again, which is Farkas overhears something he shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
This time, it's as Paganini runs by him, he learns that, the great Paganini can only play scales.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Yes. Again, the legendary player of violin scales. Farkas just figured out, his Achilles heel is he can only play scales.
Surely this isn't his first concert ever.
Well, they don't ever clarify.
Yeah, they don't.
Until, I guess, kind of in this moment that, he can only play scales.
Yeah.
But again, no one had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Well, there are hundreds of Paganini fans buying tickets for his live concert at Faffner Hall, but he is nowhere to be found. Eventually,
they might be mad he's not playing scales. It's like when you go to a show and they play like off the new album, and you're like, I don't know any of this shit.
You don't want the Rolling Stones to play the new stuff.
Yeah.
You haven't listened to the last 8 albums. Why would you want any of that?
Scales. Yeah.
Yeah, they are, getting a little restless because they can't find Paganini. But thankfully, he's discovered in a broom closet by a familiar janitor who looks, acts, talks, and plays guitar a lot like Ry Cooder.
Is that somebody that you know?
I know the name Ry Cooder.
I did know the name too, yeah.
As like a guitarist.
Yeah.
And looking him up, that's kind of what most people I think would know Ry Cooder is, if you know him, is because he's a session musician.
Guitarists.
Yeah. He's like played on tons of movie soundtracks and albums and stuff. And so there are times when somebody's like, I need a really good slide guitarist on this soundtrack. You call Ry Cooder.
Call up Cooder.
Call the Cooder line.
Yeah.
And get Ry Cooder
I like
here.
That. He gets in the Cooder mobile.
Oh, no. This is going to get worse before it gets better. So yeah, through their conversation, we get a bit more of an explicit admission from Paganini that he is afraid because people want him to play music and not scales. And when talking about scales, Ry has no time for Paganini's logic because he's like, well, that doesn't move me at all.
Yeah, he's brutally honest. I really like this part because it reminded me of a Muppet Show ending plot point where like Gonzo's been sad the whole time that everybody thinks something he's doing is stupid, or like Fozzie can't tell a joke right. And it even like it looked like they were behind the Muppet Show in that like loading dock that they go to sometimes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And Ry Cooder was, I mean, it just felt like that could have been lifted straight out of the Muppet Show. And then the music they play is really cool too. So yeah, this part, this episode, even though there's the plot is like completely unhinged, or just like doesn't make any sense really, I think this was a pretty good one. And this part really was like, this is maybe the best Faffner Hall scene that we've ever gotten, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it feels real in a way, which is silly to say about a violin playing pig called Paganini talking to a man named Ry Cooder. The scene between Paganini and Ry Cooder really
one of the greatest Muppet
elevated
scenes of all time. Yeah.
But no, I think because Ry Cooder isn't an actor and is just kind of playing this very seriously,
Mm-hmm.
I think it does come across with a bit more heart
Yeah.
than the average Faffner Hall scene.
Right. Like when they would get like a folk musician on the Muppet Show, and he would like look at the Muppets so kindly, and you'd be like, this guy thinks they're real.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hillbilly
Yeah.
who thinks they're real.
That's the thing too, is I think maybe it is that where so often we watch these shows forgetting that they're puppets or not talking about
Yeah.
the fact that they are puppets, and just the existence of this show in its like on its own merits is impressive that they're able to pull this off.
Totally. Yeah.
And then then add in somebody like Ry Cooder, who is not an actor, and convincingly let him have a conversation with a puppet pig violinist that you don't question for a second of like, man, Ry Cooder's just talking to a sock.
Do you think it helps that they're not, that Paganini is a felt puppet and not one of the creepos?
For me, it helps to
Yeah.
watch it happen.
Yeah.
Like,
I think for me
I think anytime somebody's talking to Fugetta, I'm a little...
her head kind of looks like a penis.
Okay.
I think it does. I'm sorry. I'm
I don't know
sorry
if
to
I
say
agree
that
with you,
about
or that I want to like Google her
Don't
right
look
now
at it
to
right now.
confirm that. But there's a scene that we'll talk about in a little bit of her interacting with a human that I think in that I felt like it was a puppet show.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. You're totally right. It really did.
Like, it was not, oh, Fugetta and this guy are interacting. It was that guy is doing a show with a puppet right now.
They're less convincing than the felt puppets.
Yeah, again, suspension of disbelief sort of thing of, I think it's a cartoon character come to life when you're looking at Kermit.
Yep.
Whereas when you're looking at something that's a little too human.
It's starting to get Uncanny Valley.
Right. And you're like, well, that's definitely not the same as the human it's standing next to.
Yeah.
But it's not far enough to be cute.
And I'm realizing how often I look at their eyes and think like, how did that eye mechanism work? Instead of being like, that thing has eyes.
Or that thing looks happy or sad. You're thinking, how does it work?
Right, because they can't squinch their face. Like they can, but there's a way they're supposed to be in a way that there's...
Yeah, when they squinch their face, they look more like a puppet you would get from Pizza Hut in the 90s, where it's like, well, that's not the way it's supposed to squish. And now, Littlefoot looks a little broken. But,
yes, I was thinking of Littlefoot as well.
Well, after they play the Pigfoot Shuffle, Paganini is brave now.
He knows how to play music.
It gave him the courage he needed to come back and do the concert for his hundreds of fans. Farkas, who didn't really have a plan at all in this episode.
His plan was to get Fugetta to go to his dressing room.
Well, that becomes the plan now.
Oh, he didn't have a plan previous. Oh, yeah, you're right. He didn't have
his
a plan
earlier was he learned that Paganini can only play scales.
Yeah.
End of plan.
And then he told somebody that and they went, yeah.
So he's like now forced to try and talk Paganini out of performing.
Yeah.
Sort of learns in this moment.
So funny also because Paganini's like, nah, I'm fine.
Yeah. And so this is when we learn that Farkas knew about the ghost thing as well, even though we didn't see him learn about the fear of ghosts.
Right.
So he goes to get Fugetta because, as all of us forgot, Paganini afraid of ghosts, and brings Fugetta into the dressing room to scare off Paganini, which kind of works, but he scares Paganini onto the stage.
Just right on the stage. So there's no reason for it to even happen.
No, not at all. And
because he's not too scared to go on stage. If he had been too scared still to go on stage, and then Fugetta had scared him even further on stage, that would make sense. But it doesn't.
Because he gets scared onto the stage because he's running away trying to leave the building, but gets lost and runs onto the stage.
Right.
And when he gets there, he's like, there's a ghost. And Riff's like, oh, no, she's cool. And he's like, oh, okay.
And everybody goes, yeah.
Yeah. And the hall is saved, I guess, because that's the end of the episode.
Yep, I guess so. And that's it. And he plays beautifully. And Fugetta joins them with a harp as well. So everything's fine. I wrote at the end of that, I sort of feel like I almost learned something. And that is how I feel. It was very close.
That's the theme of every Faffner Hall episode is, I'm pretty sure there was something in there that stuck in my brain.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it was intentional, or I don't know if I was supposed to learn more, but I got a little something out of that.
Yeah.
Well, psych, the theater is not actually saved because we have another episode from October 9th, 1989 called The Voice is an Instrument, written by Jocelyn Stevenson and Patrick Barlow, directed by Tony Kish. It opens with a singing fish who sings the words, "I am a musical fish. That is why I love singing scales." But we are interrupted from the singing fish by Farkas's equally ugly friend, a zookeeper human puppet
Yeah.
that he let loose on the hall because Farkas has sold Faffner Hall to a zookeeper who is going to turn Faffner Hall into a zoo, and not just a normal zoo, but he's going to capture all the musicians who currently live in Faffner Hall and put them in his zoo, which seems like a crime.
It's sad. It made me really sad because he's like, he chases this fish down with a net. Like every time like a monster or something comes out, he like chases them and ushers them like into a cage. It's all very like it's like Roald Dahl-y. Like in a Roald Dahl movie, we get a very sad scene where we see them all in their cages or something, or
it's like Shrek. When they capture all the fairy tale creatures.
Yeah, but the zookeeper exists in this odd in-between space where he's kind of just like, just doing my job, and he also like a little bit of a protect. Like nobody has a big problem with the zookeeper putting everybody in a cage.
It is also interesting in like a Zootopia way of where the line is between certain creatures in Faffner Hall.
I think a monster is a human, right? I think you can't put a monster in the zoo.
They seem to lump in Frackles and other monster puppets with pigs and penguins and tigers.
You can't put any of them in a zoo, to be clear, but yeah.
I mean, like the zookeeper capturing the tiger and the penguin is, I think, supposed to be less upsetting to people because it's like, oh, obviously he got a penguin. He's like, that thing shouldn't be out roaming anyways.
Yeah, it's causing all kinds of problems.
Yeah, but then when he's capturing Frackles, they are a little bit closer to humans,
right,
on this puppet scale,
right,
and that like, seems like he's just
seen that guy wearing a shirt
people.
Before. I've seen those guys smoking cigarettes before.
These guys I saw them hanging out in a bar with Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, these guys are guys.
So yeah, the fact that he's imprisoning guys and not just animals, I think elevates him from zookeeper to something worse.
There's also a little bit of a thing where they're not really trying to free the musicians. They're all actually kind of like, they're all kind of just like, I guess we'll leave.
I see what you're saying.
I guess our friends will just be locked up in jail forever and we'll just leave.
The problem is, oh no, he got the hall and we're going to have to leave the hall. And it's like, right, don't forget he did imprison your friends.
He's doing a full Robotnik right now. You have to stop him.
Well, thankfully, for all of them, the zookeeper falls instantly in love with Fugetta Faffner.
He actually knew who she was already, I think. And is like, I'm already in love with this dead woman.
It's a lot like the last episode, the Piganini episode, where
you're right.
The guest of the week knows who this is, but they just decide to flip the switch. Instead of being scared of the ghost of Faffner Hall, this guy loves the ghost of Faffner Hall. He wants
her body. If you were in love with a dead person,
okay,
and then their ghost, and you didn't know that they had a ghost, but then you saw their ghost, would you be like, okay, I'm in love with that ghost?
Okay, so did I love them before they were a ghost?
You didn't know them. It's Betsy Ross, a sexy Betsy Ross, and you're looking at her, and you look at her portrait, and you think, I wish I could be with Betsy Ross.
So I'm hanging out one day doing some pottery, and suddenly sexy Betsy Ross comes up behind me,
and then Betsy Ross's hand
come behind me and start to help me sew this flag.
And
I'm like, ooh, hello.
Yeah. I think I could be in love with a ghost. I guess maybe that's what I'm getting at. I think I could.
I don't think I could. I don't.
As long as they're like in the room with you, I think I would be fine. And who knows what Fugetta can do? She's got so many powers. She might be able to touch you.
She can seemingly make herself more,
she's
real,
more like just like a blue lady than a ghost.
Then I guess the question is, could you love a blue lady?
Absolutely, yeah. Are you kidding me?
We also learned something interesting about Fugetta. She died in this building.
Oh yeah, and she built it with her. She built it too. She was the founder.
Oh, does she? I don't think she says that.
She says that in one of these episodes that she founded Faffner Hall.
I feel like that goes against many other things we have heard from her in past episodes.
I think you're right. Yeah, I wrote it down. She wrote it in the first she said it in the first episode. She said, or I think. So yeah, somebody tells Paganini that she founded Faffner Hall. But you're right. It feels like there's like it's almost prehistorical in some of the ways they talk about it before.
I mean, there's things that we're just about to talk about that completely.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Go against everything we've learned so far.
Ancestors who live there.
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
We learned in the first batch of episodes we talked about that this Faffner Hall goes back like hundreds and hundreds of years,
right? And
she's inherited it over time. But in this episode is when we learn that she's like, I lived here, I died here.
Yeah,
and she's talking about why it's so important for this hall to remain with the Faffner family. And so she's also, the extra little wrinkle in this episode is that she's not just mad about the zookeeper turning the hall into a zoo and imprisoning her friends. She's also mad that a non-Faffner is going to own the hall, which makes it seem like which explains the ending a little bit, she's more okay with Farkas owning this hall because he's a Faffner,
right?
Then
she's
somebody
part of the
who's
problem.
Not. Yeah, because if somebody who wasn't a Faffner showed up but loved music and wanted to keep this operating as a music conservatory, would she turn them away because only a Faffner who loves music can own and operate this hall?
Interesting.
But we'll get there. At this point, we get a flashback to Faffner Hall in its heyday.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Where the Mozart opera Don Giovanni is being performed by actual opera singer Thomas Allen with understudy Fugetta Faffner. And this is very Muppet Show
Yeah, except it's like 5 times longer than any other Muppet Show skit has ever been.
But you could see Miss Piggy playing the Fugetta role in this, where she's supposed to have a silent role. She's not supposed to say anything.
Yeah,
but she keeps
and it would be
talking,
hilarious when she
keeps breaking things. Keeps ruining it by commenting on how excited she is to be on stage with Thomas Allen.
Yeah, but Miss Piggy would be like, I'm singing. I'm not having a silent role. She wouldn't just be like, you're so good. She'd be like, she'd like bust through that window and be like, I can't take it anymore.
I need to have sex with you, Thomas Allen.
I'm a shadow. I'm not a shadow. I'm Miss Piggy.
Thomas Allen, though, pretty good actor in this.
He is, and I was looking into this, and he's an opera singer, which makes sense because they have to be stage actors too. And he is a really good, because I thought the same thought hit me where I was like, this guy's great. Is he like a comedian or something? But no, he's an opera singer.
Yeah, I think he would have been a good Muppet Show guest.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah, he interacts with the puppet very well, even though I'm sure the whole time he's thinking, what is this?
Yeah, I was promised Kermit.
That would be so funny. Yeah, they said.
Where is Jim Henson?
It's a Muppet. It's a Muppet show.
Yeah, you want to be a musical guest on a Muppet Show? But I will say adding Thomas Allen to this confuses things as far as the lore.
Yeah.
Because previously, Fugetta has said she's been dead for 100 years.
Yeah, she's Farkas's like great aunt.
Yeah, I almost did the math to make sure that they were correct again with the family tree, because in this she specifically says like, I wish I hadn't had a brother who had a son who had a son who had a son who had a Farkas.
Yeah.
And I meant to go back and check the math on that to see if she was correct about the generations there, but I didn't.
But Thomas Allen isn't that old.
Thomas Allen in this is 45.
Yeah.
In 1989.
And she's alive. We didn't mention that she is alive in this and is flesh and blood. And
this flashback is to a pre-ghost Fugetta. So that presumably would have been over 100 years ago when she was alive in Faffner Hall. Now, we do not know when any of this is supposed to take place.
It could be in the far future.
But then that would actually be worse because every other musical guest
all those musicians
who's in Faffner Hall
you're right.
would be out of time.
Yeah, you're right. And they don't say like, this is just some opera singer. They say him specifically.
Yes, she is excited to be on stage with Thomas Allen, the opera singer.
Right.
So I don't think they thought about this in the moment, but it is a problem to introduce a real live living celebrity who is famous in 1989 into your flashback sequence.
The only conclusion you can draw is that he's immortal.
Or, you could have done a fun thing where it was his first show he's ever done. He's up and coming. Like, you could make the joke of, like, for people who know who Thomas Allen is,
Yeah.
you could have this be his first show he's ever done, and he's a young upstart, even though he looks 45. But to just have him be the famous opera singer, famous at least 100 years before he'll actually be famous.
That's really weird.
It just, again, raises too many questions.
Yeah.
Well, coming out of that flashback, we've essentially learned nothing.
It's so long.
No, but what we do get, the line, I think almost one of the first lines after the flashback, is Fugetta saying, "A ghost like me clearly cannot haunt a zoo." Sure.
Maybe it's in the rule book we're going to learn about next episode.
I mean, again, if she was, is she musical? Does she just like music? She played a harp last episode, but now she can't sing?
Yeah.
I don't know the rules of Fugetta or why she can't haunt a zoo.
Before this, I would have guessed she is a music appreciator who doesn't know that she's not good at making music. That was what I thought they were going for. But that she tries to all the time. Like, she inserts herself into it a little bit in like a good-natured way. But wants to be surrounded by music and also thinks that she's a great singer. Because she wrote music in one of the episodes and sang the music she wrote.
Well, and I thought it was the thing where maybe she was just, for her time, she was okay 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But she's so out of time.
People wouldn't pay to see me now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what I've always thought of Fugetta as, if you could, warp your great aunt or whatever up to now, you're like, yeah, I'm sure in your time people liked what you were doing, but this is not your time. So you're still talented, but not interesting.
I tried to think of one contemporary musician and I was not able to.
Contemporary 200 years ago?
To right now. To who my great aunt would be trying to compete with.
Sabrina Carpenter?
That's the only one I could think of, Matt, because we said it a second ago.
I know. That's why I was like, you can't even think of Sabrina Carpenter?
Well, I could think of Sabrina Carpenter. And I can think of any celebrity that had an Oreo associated with them. So Selena Gomez. Sabrina, Selena, and
Post Malone had one,
and Posty. Those are the three celebrities I can think of. Has Sabrina Carpenter had an Oreo? She seems ripe for an Oreo. Lady Gaga had an Oreo, I believe.
I mean, just espresso flavored Oreo right there.
Well, yeah, you get to pick your own Oreo flavor, I think.
Someone's made the offer, I bet.
Yeah, I bet you're right. I bet there's a standing offer to any famous enough celebrity that they can have an Oreo.
You sign your rich and famous contract, and the bottom is, and don't forget to think about your Oreo flavor.
You're going to be called up to have an Oreo or a McDonald's meal.
There's a different category of celebrity.
That's true.
Because it's usually people I don't know, but are extremely famous. They have like more Spotify listeners than Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
They're just not famous in the world that
You're too old.
I don't listen to hip hop music very much, so that's the problem.
Yeah. And I think Machine Gun Kelly maybe had a McDonald's meal. I think
he is a rapper sometimes,
but I don't really know who that is either.
You're better off, actually, I would say. Well, it's at this point in the episode where I remembered that this is supposed to be called "The Voice is an Instrument," and I have no idea why, because I'm waiting for maybe the zookeeper can sing or something. But don't worry. The episode also realized they hadn't explained that yet. And now the wild impresario is here to explain that he didn't know that Fugetta can't sing. I assume he's known for 40 years.
Right. And they almost seem like maybe they're in a relationship or something.
Or he keeps trying and he keeps going through her and is like, dang it. One day we'll figure it out. We need, whatever his face is, Vincent Chiavelli, to show up on our subway platform and teach us how to kick cans, and then we can have sex with each other.
Or that invention from Casper that turns you real for a little bit.
Yeah. I guess whichever one's easier.
Yeah, that could
Whichever
work
one
too.
allows us to have sex.
It would be so sad to be that handsome young man and then turn into Casper. Don't you think it would be disappointing?
Devon Sawa?
Yeah. And then you die and you're like, why is my head so big? What's going on here?
Why do I look like a light bulb?
But yeah.
Oh, man, having rewatched Casper not that long ago, that's such a good movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's very good. And it's like a groundbreaking visual effects movie.
Right.
ILM made that like when they weren't making CG characters for movies.
Yeah, I remember that being huge. And they had puppets at Pizza Hut too, I think.
Yeah, I think
They
so.
had puppets somewhere.
They might have been McDonald's ones.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
So I feel like I also got the VHS tape of Casper from McDonald's because that was a thing you could do.
That used to be a thing. Yeah, you could buy a movie.
You could buy Addams Family on VHS at
That
McDonald's.
That was great.
Why was that a thing?
In the 90s, you couldn't get away from VHSs. They were everywhere.
I know. Glow-in-the-dark Casper puppets were at Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut loved puppets.
Pizza Hut loved puppets. Well, after we learn that the wild impresario somehow doesn't know Fugetta, he can't sing, he decides, you know what? Actually, let's put on a concert with Fugetta the Singing Ghost because this will save the theater.
That's so rude, though. Doesn't making her into a sideshow act, I feel like.
Yeah, like he's okay embarrassing her.
Yeah.
To use her as a ghost, just to buy back the theater from the zookeeper.
She already doesn't want to do it, and you're not telling her that she should do it because she's good at it. You're saying, oh, it's because you're a freak.
Well, and he also, this is when he comes in, he says, everyone can sing. The voice is an instrument.
Ah, there we go.
Yes. And Fugetta stops time because she's like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to think about this and confer with my old dead composer friends.
I do like these guys. I think they're okay.
I do. But again, they lead to the worst thing I've ever seen.
Whoa.
So she talks over the idea with Beethoven, Mozart, and Handel in the form of their busts on the shelf.
Uh-huh.
And they encourage her to go ahead, do the concert. Because the other day on the radio, they heard a fascinating vocal performance by Electric Phoenix, who the internet describes as a British experimental electroacoustic vocal ensemble.
Oh,
and I would describe as the worst thing I've ever
Sorry
seen.
If anybody in Electric Phoenix
I honestly don't care.
But
this is one of the few times I will say insult intended.
You guys messed up.
I don't understand it, Sam. Like, I am not a huge fan of like a cappella pentatonics type stuff to begin with. So to take that and like chop and screw it back together and add in weird impressions, and we see one of the members start off by like doing an Ethel Merman impression, singing "There's No Business Like Show Business." Another one does a Miss Piggy impression poorly for some reason. And then it cuts to them singing Handel's Hallelujah chorus before it then cuts to them doing the worst version of Dancing in the Street by Martha and the Vandellas that you stop right now. Think, what's the worst version of that song I could ever imagine? It's that. It's this. It's this. It is worse than you think.
And they're dancing too. And then when it first started, I was like, they're joke dancing. And then I watched more and I was like, they're not joke dancing.
I think they're just the least cool British people who have ever existed trying to sing a cool song.
Yeah. And then it cuts to a montage of like one of them just makes a fart noise. And I understand what they're doing. What they would say that they're doing is like, all sound is art. Like, have you ever really thought about when you make a fart sound?
They're like the Moominshans of pentatonics.
Yes, totally the same category of thing where it's like, have you ever thought about how your hand moves? It's like, have you ever thought about fart sound? Really? Have you ever thought about it?
No, really listen to this fart sound. Let it hit you.
But if somebody said you should sing because these guys sing and they're fun, I would say, oh, I hated them. I will never sing, actually. If somebody listened to me and hated me as much as I hated that, I couldn't possibly live with myself.
Oh, I don't want to deep dive right now, but I might later, because looking up Electric Phoenix, I don't know that they were huge. They don't seem to have a lot of work to look back on. But they were founded in the late 70s. So they, at this point, were at least going for 10 years. It says Electric Phoenix was founded by 4 members of Swingle 2.
Okay.
Because apparently the Swingles were a UK-based a cappella vocal group originally founded by Ward Swingle in 1962.
So
who also founded the Swingle Singers, which I think is just also the Swingles, but could be called the Swingle Singers. And then Swingle 2 was a spin-off of the Swingles.
A spin-off.
That then became known as the New Swingle Singers.
What? What are you doing over there, British people?
Oh, it gets worse. It was originally founded as Les Swingle Singers in France.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
Oh, no. It was?
And then four of the Swingles decided to form Electric Phoenix or whatever.
Oh, Swingle's a really good name for having an annoying band.
And for trading wives and husbands, I assume.
You assume or you know that that's happening?
I just assume. The Swingles, I feel like swinging singles.
Oh, sure,
right there.
Sure.
And there's like
Swingle.
a billion of them in this photo, so I assume they're all sleeping together.
Oh, that's got to be true. You got to be. You can only be this confident in how bad your band is if you're all fucking each other.
Yeah, you're like, it doesn't
right.
matter how bad this is because I know
her.
what's happening in 30 minutes. And
I
I'm
love
fine
her
with
when
this.
she makes that fart sound. I love her so
but like,
goddamn
look at this group
much.
of the original Swingle Singers.
I'm looking at it right now.
The only one who's unsure about their arrangement is the guy on the right.
He doesn't know that they're all having sex with each other.
Hey, I just want to ask a question. It seems like you're all real close. And I know I just got hired like a week ago, but like, is there something that I'm not doing?
Or he's been there. He's been there for years, and he asks them like every week, and he's like, "You guys want to go get drinks or something?" And they're like, "Busy. I'm busy. We can't do it."
Oh, he's the only one not allowed at the orgy.
Yeah, they just don't like his vibe.
Poor Brian.
They don't like Brian's vibe. He's got a really cool coat though.
Yeah,
but you're totally right.
A Brian face for sure.
They lost some Swingles in between Electric Phoenix and the Swingles.
Yeah. Well, there must have been a riff of some kind because you don't leave the Swingles to form Electric Phoenix.
To form Electric Phoenix.
Unless it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I know officially too much about this horrible, horrible band.
Probably there's only people who are in the band know more than we do about them now.
If you're British and you know about the Swingles and
explain yourself.
Electric Phoenix, explain yourself enough that I don't get bored.
You've gone too far this time, British people.
But don't worry, because something about watching that performance did convince Fugetta to put on a concert.
Yeah, it could also be if they can do it, then I
maybe
can do
that's what it is. She's like, oh, that's what singing is? Oh, no, I can do that.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. But she's still not quite sure. She doesn't have the confidence yet. So Weil Impresario gives her a business card and says, hey, go visit a friend of mine. And so she shows up to meet the jazz singer.
So I guess she does leave the house in this situation.
I guess so. I guess there's also a chance that Marion Montgomery is in the hall somewhere.
Right.
But it does seem like she's going to her apartment.
A nightclubby apartment. Yeah, it's like an apartment until all of a sudden there's an audience in front of them. Yeah.
I did like that Marion Montgomery's sort of character as herself in this is person who can't not be a jazz singer.
Like that
can't
too.
just be a normal human.
Fugetta's like keeps trying to talk to her and she just keeps singing jazz and she's like, I can come back later. It's like, no, it's always going to be like this. So just give me a second. I liked her too because I like she was really cool. She was really fucking cool. And then when she's ready to give advice to Fugetta, she's like, you want me to teach you how to be cool.
Like she also is fully aware that she is cool.
Yes, I do want that.
But yeah, her piano player is also the Tiger, who we've seen at Faffner Hall. We also saw him as the recording engineer with Julia Fordham.
I like this guy, yeah.
He's just everywhere.
And she calls him Joseph, which is pretty fun.
And she sings Just in Time by Nina Simone with Fugetta's help, which, again, I guess this gives Fugetta more confidence.
This is the same exact episode as the last episode.
You are not wrong.
I think in an alternate universe, Rolf is in this show, right? Like if Jim wasn't, if Jim wanted to be in this show, this is a perfect
Jim
Rolf
felt like
fit.
hopping, over the pond,
yeah,
to do some shows.
Rolf
I
is
think
that
Rolf
tiger.
would be a great addition, especially in this kind of role. If he just showed up once as like piano player for Marion Montgomery in the background,
Rolf and Marion Montgomery having a little like
affair.
tete-a-tete. having sex with each other. Yeah, sure. That would be good.
So back in Faffner Hall, we see the musicians in their cages, including the tiger, who apparently, I guess, got arrested, recently. But Mimi lets them know that they are going to get them out soon. They just need to perform a song first for some reason.
Yeah.
And Mimi wrote a song that's basically just scatting and the grunt bags grunting.
The grunt bags are back.
But the wild impresario is on the phone selling tickets to the ghost show and says maybe the only joke that made me laugh in this entire batch of episodes. He's like, no, a real ghost. No, you don't have to be a medium to enjoy it. I'm a large myself.
Yeah, he's funny. And I remember in the first batch, he was always there and always being funny. But he only gets this one funny line this time.
Mm-hmm. So they sell out of all the tickets. But turns out no one actually shows up because it was Farkas calling in and pretending to be all of the different voices.
This was my favorite. This is the only Farkas scene I have not been repulsed by, where he goes through all of his different impressions. I thought was pretty good.
He even wraps it up with a wild impresario impression and says, I'm the mimic of the century.
He's such a nasty little man. It still stands that he's done more mean stuff than Wander McMooch at this point. So he is the evilest Muppet.
It's funny to go from the last batch where he was trying to literally blow them all up with dynamite to him doing impressions on the phone.
Yeah. What's to stop him from murdering them? He already tried once.
But this is where I started to be like, oh, Farkas is just a performer at heart who hasn't been given the opportunity to shine. And I think one day he'll get his chance.
That would be a good arc. You're right. That
like if they would stop and like, hey, Farkas, you're really good at impressions. Like, have you ever thought about trying that as a career?
Yeah, and then he started crying. He just like starts sobbing. The missing piece of my heart. I found it.
But don't forget, the zookeeper is still here and he's still in love with Fugetta. And so he decides, you know what? I would literally give anything to hear you sing, Fugetta, even Faffner Hall. And so they decide to let Farkas get Faffner Hall given back to him by the zookeeper.
Yeah. If it needs to go to a living person, give it to Riff and Mimi.
But who owned it before Farkas, Sam?
No, it never explains it. He just suddenly shows up.
So just why couldn't you go 2 steps back? And whoever had it before Farkas, when this thing seemed to be working for 100 years just fine.
Right. Because I kind of assumed whoever owned it before died, or somebody owned it who didn't live there, who was part of the family. Like somebody died and Farkas inherited it, right? Like,
yeah, that's what it seems like. But it's so strange because it's like if you started off the Muppet Show with a perfectly functioning theater that is thriving and no one's worried about anything, and then the second episode, Kermit's like, uh-oh,
we're broke.
They're going to shut us down. We can't afford our bills. And you're like, wait, what? Like, what happened in the last
Where's the money,
episode?
Kermit? Where's the money all going?
So it's very strange to have initially Farkas be the main antagonist to all of their stuff. Like, we're doing fine. We just have a guy who hates music who wants to shut us down.
Yeah.
But now we have a guy who hates music and wants to shut us down. And also we can't afford to live here.
Yeah. It's too much sadness. It's too much tragedy.
Because he's not the cause of their problems anymore. Like they have bigger problems than him. He just slows them down a little bit.
He has the ability to sell the hall at will, yet for some reason doesn't.
Well, he keeps trying.
I guess he keeps trying. Yeah.
Like we'll see in the next episode, he tries.
Yeah, that's true.
And the person gets scared off by a ghost.
Gets scared off by a ghost. Also, the zookeeper could have married the Fugetta. That could have solved the problem.
There we go. Stays in the family.
Yeah.
But can you marry a ghost? I don't think you can.
I think. Well, she seems to like him too.
Yeah, she's flattered.
Yeah, you can't marry a ghost. I suppose you couldn't marry a ghost. That would be too complicated.
You can love a ghost. You can't marry a ghost.
Beetlejuice tries to marry Lydia.
But he has to come into the real world to do that.
And he is a ghost. Is he a ghost?
Oh, he's the ghost with the most, baby.
Oh, yeah, we learned all about him in Beetlejuice, too. I forgot. He is a ghost. I'm a fool.
But yeah, I feel like Fugetta needs to find like an estranged cousin or something who actually likes music. Because she seems stuck on the fact that a Faffner must own the hall, but also hates Farkas. But this episode wraps up with Fugetta and the zookeeper just performing together because he decides, I'd rather sing than be a zookeeper. So I guess we already solved the problem once. And then they just wanted to like put some icing on the cake and say, don't worry, he's never also going to decide to change his mind and become a zookeeper again.
Up again. Yeah. So pretty bad episode, I would say. I hated that one.
Yeah, I did not enjoy it. I think that musical performance really, really soured it for me just in general because it's all I could remember from the episode.
Yeah, it was jarring.
Well, the last episode of Ghost of Faffner Hall that we watched this week, the 6th episode overall, is from October 16th, 1989, called Reacting to Sounds.
Isn't it? Are we all just reacting to sounds? You're reacting to sounds right now if you're listening to this. Is this music? Yes.
Whoa.
Podcast is music? I think it is.
We're coming for you, BTS. We're going to top the charts soon.
We got to get like 4 more guys. Imagine this podcast was 6 guys. And that's what you have in store for you.
Pick your favorites.
I'm the cute one. Matt's the cute one too.
Commitment Army, rise up.
Oh man, I wish. We have a little army. The BTS army would really just rip you guys to shreds, though, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, I don't think any army in the world is prepared to fight the BTS army. So. Well, we are here to react to sounds, as this episode is written by Jocelyn Stevenson and Patrick Barlow, directed by Tony Kish. Starts off with Fugetta making a man react to the sounds of a ghost as she scares him off. He apparently wanted to buy the hall to turn it into a factory to make cash registers.
Do you ever think about how there's a factory for everything that we have?
I think these days probably...
Is that true?
I think these days it's more a factory that makes 1,000 different things.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
I was wondering about like
makes the parts for certain things and then ships them off to be assembled somewhere else.
Like, where does mustard bottles come from? Who knows?
Yeah, because I don't think Heinz is producing the bottles.
And they always have to make new ones because we're always throwing them away. And that doesn't seem right either.
So you're saying that we should make recyclable or
we should have had to
edible.
mail back in our edible could be interesting, Matt. I'm thinking it would be like milkmen used to bring you the glass milk bottles, but you have to put them back out. I want a mustard man. And you have a glass mustard bottle, which exists. I've seen them.
The way you just said, I want a mustard man, sounded like something that would have been in like a 1950s musical. I want a mustard man.
I need a mustard man.
I need a mustard man.
The love of my life, because back then it meant something. It meant like somebody with a lot of pep.
Well, after Fugetta scares off the cash register man, we see her walking around with an ear trumpet because she needs to do a sound check. And she thinks she hears a ghost.
And a sound check is a real music thing. Yes. They don't ever really bother to explain that. I feel like they assume that all the children watching will know what a sound check is.
Right, and that's why they, like when she first says it, they're like, oh, of course, do a sound check. But what she's actually doing is trying to find out if there's another ghost in this house because the rules of the dead say that only one ghost per house.
Which is deeply sad to me.
And also just, you know, we originally, I think both commented that we thought this show was called The Ghosts of Faffner Hall, plural.
Yeah, yeah.
And this really proves why it's not.
Oh, are the busts of Beethoven and them guys must not be ghosts?
Huh. I think we had this conversation 4 years ago.
Okay.
When we were watching The Muppet Show.
Yeah. And there was a bust of Beethoven.
Like, was that Beethoven? Is this where Beethoven is cursed to live from now on? Or is the bust of Beethoven a separate entity who just happens to have, like, the memories and knowledge of Beethoven?
So Beethoven is splintered across thousands and thousands.
Every time you make a new bust of Beethoven, you are splintering his original form.
Or is it could it be a collective consciousness like Spider-Man,
hive mind Beethoven?
Yeah, like Venom. Or is it?
People oversell Cellar Door. I think Hive Mind Beethoven and Mustard Man really is our like Cellar Door, and maybe also our new band name.
I think that's nice. Or is he a cosmic entity that manifests itself through graven images of himself?
This is what they don't tell you in Beethoven the movie. Is that dog actually part of the Beethoven hive mind? He is one of
us. Beethoven is acting through him.
That's why he's so rebellious. He's like, I shouldn't be a dog.
Yeah.
That should
And
be a
it's-
composer or a marble bust.
And it's the
most.
90s, and I'm confused.
Yeah, get away from me, Stanley Tucci.
Just buy me a piano. That's all I'm asking for. I thought I would have said they're ghosts, and that they are here in this hall, which is a fine place to be. If you're stuck on Earth, being in a music hall is fine.
But again, a question I'm pretty sure we asked 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Can Beethoven jump from one bust of him to another? Or is he stuck in this bust in Faffner Hall forever?
I think he can act through images of himself one at a time. He couldn't be everywhere at once.
No. I'm more comfortable with the idea, though, if he can jump from bust to bust as opposed to only being trapped in one bust.
Yes, he's in heaven, sitting and waiting, and he can see. Boom.
Can he be called upon, or is he just choosing to be like, I'm going to check in?
You can pray to him. You can pray to him like you could, and he could do both. He can peek at you all he wants.
I don't like that.
And he does.
He's got like a surveillance state thing going on where if you have a bust of Beethoven in your house, he can watch you.
Yeah, but when you say, help me, Beethoven, he hears it. And then he hears your plea, and then he decides if he should appear in your bust or not. And this is the same as everybody. If there was a photo of me, I could say, sup.
But no one's ever had a photo of Sam hung up in their house.
And
so he can't do that.
And I'm still alive.
Oh, that's the main problem.
That's the biggest issue, yeah.
Well, if you get to think she hears a ghost, but in actuality, what she hears is composer H.K. Gruber and his orchestra. He's looking for a noise to round out his piece, and her ear trumpet is exactly the perfect thing he needs to round out his disturbing song about a mouse.
Yeah, this is also an annoying band, but at least this is an annoying band that's kind of like, okay, I get what you're going for here. He's just a weird German guy. That's allowed.
Hey, he's Austrian.
He's just a weird Austrian guy, which is also allowed.
Most of the time.
With caveats, yeah. He's got goggles on and a tuxedo. I get this guy.
Well, and my favorite, this piece he's performing is a very short section of what is known as his pandemonium called Frankenstein with 2 exclamation points.
I read about this, yeah.
Which is like a 28-minute long piece of music. But the lyrics we get, some of these might be wrong because they're according to the captions on Tubi. But most of them are right because I heard the words myself.
Yeah.
Say, little mouse, teach me to respouse the house.
He says, takes me to his little mouse house.
That's what I thought he said. For some reason, Tubi decided to interpret that as teach me to respouse the house.
No. Take me to his little mouse house.
What is a little mouse doing if he's teaching you to respouse?
He's getting married. He's getting remarried. He's on his second marriage.
To the house? To a mouse?
He's bringing his new partner home to his little mouse house.
But then he says, now he nibbles out my eyes.
Yeah.
Lost without my eye, I must bake the carrot pie. Carrot pie with raisins sweet. Pick to out, but not to eat. Stick for it to be my eyes. Ah, the sunshine's bright surprise.
If I found out this guy lived in my basement, I would probably have to make him get out of my basement.
Not the first person missing an eye that we've talked about this week.
Oh, who else?
Ry Cooder, fun fact, I learned in visiting his Wikipedia earlier, has a line in his Wikipedia that just says, at the age of 4, he accidentally stuck a knife in his left eye.
Oh.
He has sported a glass eye ever since.
Yay.
Yeah. That's not a thing you accidentally want to do or on purpose want to do.
But I suppose when you're 4, that might happen.
That's the kind of shit that terrifies me of having a kid, where I'm just like, it'd be so easy to just grab a knife and stick it in your face.
You literally don't know what would happen.
No. You're going to be real mad about it, though.
Well, he made the best of it.
Became a janitor at Faffner Hall. Well, if you get a returns to tell Riff and Mimi that it wasn't a ghost, and Farkas overhears a conversation where she tells Mimi and Riff that every half century or so I must do a sound check because rules for the dead state that no 2 ghosts can haunt the same home.
Yeah. I feel like famously a ghost house is full of ghosts.
This isn't a ghost house. This is a music house that happens to have
a ghost in it.
It is sad. I think you said it was sad earlier.
It makes me sad. I wouldn't want Yeah, that's such a bummer rule. I mean, I guess you can do so much, and including freeze time.
But what if Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin couldn't hang out together in the Beetlejuice house?
Where's one of them supposed to go?
Sandworms. Well, Farkas decides that this is the best news he's ever heard, and menacingly says, "One ghost coming up."
I really thought he was going to go try to find another ghost.
I thought he was going to murder someone.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to find a ghost.
They're like, "Hey, Riff, check out these steep stairs to the basement." And he just keeps trying to kill off different characters to force a Casper situation where you got a new ghost showing up. Well, we aren't done with disturbing details yet, because next we hear some drip, 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 which, because we've already introduced some terrifying details, Riff thinks, oh no, what if that's blood dripping off the nails of a ghoulish ghoul? And much like Christopher Lee working on Lord of the Rings, Fugetta steps in to say, that's not what blood dripping sounds like.
Wait, what does Christopher Lee say?
I believe Christopher Lee has a quote, which I will look up for accuracy right now because it's too ridiculous and wild. But basically, Christopher Lee, during Lord of the Rings, had to correct Peter Jackson on what it sounds like when a man is stabbed to death.
No.
Because Christopher Lee hunted Nazis and served as a secret agent in World War II. And
I didn't know that.
When there was a character being stabbed in Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee was like, that's not what it sounds like when a man is stabbed to death.
He was a secret agent in World War II?
That's what the internet has told me.
Whoa.
But yeah, there's quotes I'm looking at right now from Lord of the Rings behind the scenes footage where Peter Jackson says, I started to go into this long explanation of what sound he should make when he got stabbed. And Christopher Lee says, I seem to recall that I did say to Peter, have you any idea what kind of noise happens when someone's stabbed in the back? Because I do.
Oh.
It's like, because the breath's driven out of the body.
Oh, no.
And then Peter Jackson says, he proceeded to talk about some very clandestine part of World War II.
Oh, God.
So that's, in this moment, what Fugetta does, because she says, no, bathwater dripping sounds like this. Drip, drip, drip. Blood dripping off the nails of a ghoul sounds like this. Drip, drip, drip.
Okay, I didn't really register how cool of a line that was.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, Fugetta is like, I'll tell you what blood dripping sounds like.
Christopher Lee's got to be like, Peter Jackson, do you know what it sounds like to chop up hundreds and hundreds of zombies with a lawnmower? Because I do.
Do you know what a giant hippo being machine gunned down on stage actually sounds like, Peter? Fugetta, in this moment, says ghosts are sound. Does not explain that further, just kind of
couldn't possibly make it any less sense than it does.
Yeah, but Mimi and Riff are like, whoa. And then she's just like, yeah, don't ask questions. I don't have anything else on that.
I mean, I understand. I guess I could understand saying that partially in a world where ghosts aren't standing right in front of you. If a ghost isn't the one telling you that, it's like...
Or if we'd ever see if you get interrupted by sound, or you could tune into the frequency of Fugetta and make her glitch
that
out
could be
or
really
something.
Interesting. Yeah, she
we turned down the knob on Fugetta.
Yeah, the music is sustaining her somehow.
Yeah, but I am gonna go ahead and assume that will never ever come up again.
No.
Then there's a weird scene about laundry that I'm still confused by, where we're suddenly in a laundry room that Fugetta seems really mad about, because this is just a room full of secondhand washing machines.
Yeah.
And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, this room is only existing because Farkas wants to make as much noise as possible for some reason. That was
my interpretation too. He's looking at a bag full of stuff, he's sandpaper and rocks or whatever. I guess all stuff that he's going to make sounds with. But yeah.
Well, so I think it's two different
throwing
things.
it in the washing. Is he throwing it in the washing machine?
I thought that too the first time. I watched it again though, because he put tennis shoes in the dryer, in the washer, and he's using that. He's like, I love how noisy this is. But I think his bag of weird shit is to leave this room to go make ghost sounds.
To be the
because ghost. He's got a horn. He's got a cash register because he's going to be the ghost of JJ Ritty. So I think he just happens to be packing up his ghost materials in the laundry room.
Okay. I think that must be right. But yeah, the room full of laundry. That's
She's
such
just
a
so
weird,
mad about it.
and it's
like,
such a weird thing of like, if anything, laundry machines they're, I guess, loud, but they're kind of also not, or they're just like white noisy. And
maybe the
not,
fact that they're secondhand makes them like run down and noisier.
Yeah, I feel like a place like that would be like, oh, he bought a bunch of TVs and turned them all on. Like, we hate hearing the TV sounds.
Yeah.
Or
Who knows?
yeah, it was really weird.
It was one of those where I had to go back and watch it because I thought I had missed an important line explaining why laundry was suddenly a part of this. But the answer is no, I did not.
Or what if he had like tried to sell it to a person who was like starting a laundromat in the, I don't know, like, instead of the cash register thing.
Would have made more sense.
Yeah. It's like he started moving in the cash register equipment, so we got the cash register machine up in front. I don't know. I'm not sure.
No logic to this one. Don't worry about it, Sam. Well, if you get it says, and this is a weird moment in the episode as well, I sometimes dream what it would be like if someone who loved sound was here instead of Farkas. And there's like a moment where you're like, okay, that felt like a setup for a dream sequence.
Yeah.
But what we cut to is Farkas off running away to go make ghost sounds, and they chase after him. But then we get a weird, slow panning shot into a mysterious room in the basement or something, where we reveal the silhouette of Muppet Show guest star Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is the dream sequence.
That's what I thought too, because he's lit dreamily.
Well, we have Farkas playing a horn into a microphone to like be like, I'm a ghost, honka honka. And then we transition to Dizzy Gillespie playing a horn. And so I thought it was going to be, oh, these are two parts of it. Like, you have the evil Farkas, but then you have the dream version if someone was here who actually liked music.
Yeah.
But that's not at all what's happening.
Right. But this is one of those things where it's like, how did they write this? Like, how did they went back and looked at the script and said, that's fine.
They said Dizzy Gillespie's got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they run in, and again, we see him in silhouette. So Fugetta, for some reason, assumes, oh, I know who that is. That is Archibald McTavish Faffner, a bugler with the 3rd Regiment of the Scottish Highlanders, struck down at the Battle of Balaclava at the windswept heights of Sevastopol.
An ancient relative come home to haunt the house, because what the system does is turn ghosts against each other.
Well, and if I guess an older relative comes home, she then has to leave.
Yeah, and then later on, it sounds like if a scarier ghost shows up, then she has to leave also.
But as Mimi and Riff quickly point out, he doesn't sound like a dead windswept Scottish bugler.
That was a good line, I thought.
Because we learn, no, it is Dizzy Gillespie. And then it just turns into a bit of a love fest for Dizzy Gillespie for a little while.
I thought it was nice.
I like Dizzy Gillespie. That's fine. He was good on the Muppet Show. He's good here.
Yeah.
Fugetta tries to inflate herself like Dizzy inflates his cheeks.
And she inflates her arms or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
I do wish this show could pick a little bit more between nice, honoring musical numbers and really stupid plot, and like be somewhere in the middle where it's maybe more like Beekman's World or like Bill Nye, except music, you know?
Yeah.
Where they're like, I don't know, teaching you about music, and then they're like, just like this guy. Maybe more like a Pee-wee's Playhouse thing or something.
I mean, maybe it would help if the musical stars mattered or affected the plot at all.
They all just live in the basement now.
Right. Like, we've had a couple experiences, obviously, where they have directly impacted. Like, Ry Cooter helps, Piganini become brave, which actually makes me madder now that I say it, that none of our main characters impact that plot at all.
Right.
We
we learned so much more about Piganini than we have about any other character in the show.
Yeah.
We know all of his hopes and fears and dreams.
So the fact that we have this detour for Dizzy Gillespie that doesn't really do anything other than add an additional plot point about being scared of an additional ghost in the house.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel like a waste of Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah. Yeah. But But then in like an alternate universe, it's like just nice to see Dizzy Gillespie. Like you could set up
it's
your show.
always nice to see Dizzy Gillespie. I'm not saying it's not.
You could set your show up like that, where it is like, why is he here? Instead of just like, and then Dizzy Gillespie showed up.
Which I think the first batch felt a little bit more like that.
Yes.
Of like, hey, sorry, Dizzy, we're in the middle of something. We got to solve this problem.
Yes, right. And I want that for Dizzy Gillespie. I want people to be like, great, Dizzy Gillespie's here, instead of
this feels like Dizzy Gillespie is locked in a basement where he just has to hope that someone comes and talks to him sometimes.
Yeah, why'd you put him down there?
Well, Farkas continues making some spooky ghost sounds, saying, Fugator, you are homeless. I have moved in. I am the ghost of J.J. Ritty, inventor of the cash register in 1877.
I did like that this is a real guy. I thought that was a nice bit of specificity that made it funny.
It's also still wrong.
Yeah, but don't they point that out later, or it's even wrong when they point it out? Okay.
The correction is also wrong. So the real story from Wikipedia is that after being inspired by a machine on a steamship that counted the number of revolutions made by the propeller, and with the help of his brother John, James Ritty invented and patented his first machine, the Ritty Model 1, in 1879.
Oh, so wrong.
Yeah, right. So Farkas says 1877, and here in a minute he will be corrected and told it is 1878. But this also made me like Farkas because he's just a performer and he's having a lot of fun being a dick. He's putting on
a little show. He really is. Yeah, he is getting better. He's
less despisable because he hasn't actually seen evil or murderous.
He's not killing anybody, and the initial shock of how horrible he looks is wearing off a little bit too.
Well, Mimi and Riff go to the wild impresario, who is appearing in this episode for the first time 20 minutes into a 25-minute show.
Yeah.
And while they're in there, Farkas shows up as a ghost in a sheet, still pretending to be J.J. Ritty's ghost, which is a bold move when you live with a real ghost.
With a real ghost, yeah. But everybody is like, dang, that's a ghost.
Yeah, they don't clock him because of how bad his costume is.
Yeah.
They clock him.
Even the other ghost doesn't.
No. And this guy's out here looking like E.T. on Halloween. And they're just like, well, that's J.J. Ritty's ghost, I guess.
He's looking like E.T. Fugetta's doing a Back to the Future. She's fading away.
Yeah, that's the other thing is the rules of the dead sort of thing of she's affected by a fake story.
Yeah, she's like, I guess I'll die.
So this is when the wild impresario points out that in this world, at least, J.J. Ritty actually invented the cash register in 1878 and realizes there's something fishy going on here. So Fugetta realizes she must investigate, and for some reason she has to stop time to do so. So Fugetta stops time so that she can go pull the sheet off of Farkas's head.
Yeah.
Which again, I feel like she definitely could have done without stopping time.
Yeah. That seems like God would come down and say, Fugetta, don't do that again.
You're using up your powers.
It's hard.
So Farkas is exposed.
And that's
it's not. Something a little weirder happens, Sam.
What happened?
Because
yeah, right.
Then the, quote, real ghost of J.J. Ritty shows up and scares Farkas away. And it turns out to really just be Riff under a different ghost sheet. What was Farkas's plan in this episode?
To kill Fugetta, I guess. Right?
How?
To make her disappear by pretending to be a ghost.
Right. And how? So what is the predicament that lets Fugetta die or have to leave?
A scarier ghost in the house?
Right. And so when he sees a scary ghost in the house...
Oh, you think he'd be like, well, you're going to die anyway.
Boom. Nailed it. I win.
Yeah,
you lose.
Right.
J.J. Ritty's real ghost is here. My problems are solved. Get out.
He wants no ghosts, I suppose, though. He's a kind of a ghostbuster himself.
Ultimately, yes. But if he is trying to turn this building into a factory that builds cash registers,
yeah, I guess
if the real ghost of the inventor of the cash register showed up,
that's right.
Maybe that's exactly who you want to have.
That would actually be perfect, yeah. Or he might be annoying, and he'd be like, I wouldn't do it that way.
It was just one of those moments where I was like, I get for the plot why he is scared of this ghost.
Right.
But that's actually exactly what he wanted to happen.
Yeah. And also he knows ghosts are real and knows that they're I don't know, that they're fine. I suppose actually this ghost has god powers, and who knows what another evil or ghost could do.
My favorite is sometimes the summaries of Faffner Hall episodes written on Muppet Wiki, I'm sure written 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're trying to sum things up a little faster. And the end of this episode is described as, all of a sudden, Fugetta hears a ghostly voice that presents itself as the ghost of J.J. Reddy, who invented the cash register in 1877. The gang decides to fight the new ghost, so Fugetta won't have to leave. Fugetta stops the time and discovers that the ghost really is Farkas Faffner. End of episode.
That does imply that they are beating the shit out of somebody at some point.
Yeah,
huh?
Not that they figure out that it's actually Farkas and reveal him. They decide to fight him.
Every episode of The Ghost of Faffner Hall ends with a fight scene.
With a ghost kicking the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
But that does it for this week's batch of Faffner Hall episodes. We've made it almost halfway through Faffner Hall, Sam.
I kind of came in to this batch remembering that I sort of liked Faffner Hall the first time.
Oh.
And then by the end of it, I was like, I mean, I think back on like some of the musical acts and think that was cool, but I just hated this batch. So I liked the first episode, okay, but the second two were just so many moments of like vamping, playing a little extra song that isn't by a famous person, or what happened in this one? I don't, just everything feels like it's spinning its wheels so much, like they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think I end up nothinging the show. Like, I didn't hate this batch. I didn't like this batch that much. I just, even after the first episode, was kind of like, all right, this is a show I have to watch.
I think it bothered me so much that they shifted into, we don't have any money. I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, I think because it was 2 episodes in a row, that really hit home.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see if that comes up again.
Right.
Because it feels like the show could do anything it wants next batch, and change the whole dynamic of the Farkas relationship again. So
yeah,
I've got no idea what to expect, which makes me a little excited to watch more episodes.
Yeah,
but
it's fun in that respect, is right. And it is fun to talk about, but it's not good. It's not very good.
It's not a good show. If we've given you the illusion that this might be a good show, don't let us fool you.
It has fun moments, but no, not for me.
Well, Sam, were there any non-Muppet things you've enjoyed over the past month and a half since we recorded?
Matt, there's only one thing in my life right now, and it's Pokemon Pokopia.
Ooh, how's it going? How's your giant Pokemon world? Post-humans.
I was telling my wife the other day, yes, post-humans, spoiler alert, kind of post-humans. I was telling my wife the other day, it is, and I know that they did this on purpose, it is Minecraft for guys my age. Because everything is like, it's so easy to craft stuff. Everything is so cheap. You have to do basically no grinding. And it's set in the Game Boy era Pokemon world.
I've heard this is like the perfect game for people who haven't played a Pokemon game since the first 3 or whatever.
It's not,
And that like, it'll give you the right sort of nostalgia, and it's the right kind of weird, and
it's very weird, and it's like funny and charming, and you meet your little guys pop out of the grass, and you're like, hey, it's Pikachu. What's going on, Pikachu? And then he says,
like, yo.
And he says, what's up? A lot of them do say yo, which is a kind of a weird thing about it. But yeah, it's Minecraft plus you're like rebuilding the map of the old Pokemon game. So you're like, oh yeah, the gym leader's house was here, and now here's the ruins of it, and I'm rebuilding it. And everything's just a little easy, but like in a fun way, and the gameplay loop is satisfying, and it's just like a nice little world to live in.
You know what this makes me sad about? That we didn't get Detective Pikachu 2.
I didn't even know that movie didn't do well until recently, because I saw it and I was like, surely everybody in the world liked this movie. This movie was great, but no, it didn't do well, which is shocking to me, because that is such a fun, they do such a good job of showing Pokemon in the world, and like creating this alternate universe where it's just like, yeah, this guy knows Charizard. Yeah, I agree.
I think we saw that together, maybe?
I think we did.
But yeah, I think COVID, as well as audience reception,
Yeah.
sort of killed the sequel to that movie, because I think
Yeah.
it was supposed to come out in 2021 was originally like the plan. And I think they were planning to like make it in 2020. So
the
I think they
second
weren't
one.
able. Yeah. I think they announced a sequel after the first one came out, and then weren't able to actually make it, and then has just kind of gone away.
Yeah. If there is, I've always thought if I had to pick a fictional world to live in, it's a tie between Star Trek world and Pokemon world. Those would be the two funnest worlds, where all wars are solved by making your little monsters fight each other. Or in Star Trek, you're just like in post scarcity. You could live on Earth forever and not have to do shit you didn't want to do. That would be great.
Looking up, Sam, we texted about Detective Pikachu on May 18th, 2019.
Oh, wow. We were cutting it really close. Okay, so yeah, Pokopia. How about you?
This is a sentence I didn't expect to say. Scrubs is back, and Scrubs is good.
I only watched the first episode, and I did enjoy it. I just haven't caught up yet.
It just feels like Scrubs, which, sounds simple, but most reboots don't feel like they just continued making the show.
Yep.
And this feels like they just kept making the show. Like, it feels like there's been 15 years of episodes that I just haven't watched or something.
Yeah.
And I skipped ahead because it just feels like they picked up right where they left off with the kind of jokes and the characters. And
it looks right.
Yeah. I have some issues. I think I maybe pointed this out in the last episode.
It's not a one-for-one exact replica. You didn't point it out in the last episode, Matt. You just were talking to me about it.
All right. That makes some sense too.
Maybe it was a couple. I'm not sure.
Who
but
knows?
Yes, you have voiced your issues of
at least
they
to
said
you.
It's a one-to-one replica of the set, but it is not indeed that.
Right. Yes. Zach Braff did a whole architectural digest video where he's like, we rebuilt the hospital on a 1-to-1 scale. And I was like, nope, that's bait. And yes, it at first glance, it was like immediately clear to me of like, oh yeah, no, it's not. That's different.
Is it really so crazy to think that they'd replace a couple neon signs in the meantime?
The neon signs are different, but the big one for me, this is not an important thing. The railing outside of the hospital, the back entrance, which is like the part they always use as the door in and out of the hospital, it's very clear to me they had less width to deal with when they were building this set. The ramp that goes down is a steeper, shorter ramp than it used to be. And so because of that, this railing used to have a flat spot where they could hang out and talk about things and have emotional moments. And then it would slope down. Now it just starts sloping down immediately. Not important at all.
But
if you're going to tell me
it's
100% accurate 1-to-1 recreation of the hospital, I'm going to point out your weird steep ramp.
Yeah, one of the places they stand isn't there anymore.
Yeah, they can't have that moment standing on the flat spot of the ramp because it doesn't exist.
That's too bad. I loved that flat part of the ramp.
But yeah, Scrubs back, Scrubs good. F1 back, F1 good.
It's good fat times for Matt. You're having a great life right now.
Yeah, lots of F1, lots of Scrubs.
Yeah.
Except they just had to cancel some F1 races because of bad things happening in the Middle East.
Yeah, right.
So they can't race in countries that are currently being attacked.
Ay. Well, a lot of bad things are happening.
Oh, yeah. Somewhere very near the bottom of that list is us having to watch Faffner Hall.
I don't think that's bad at all. I think that's great. I think, and yeah, you're right, Matt. We need to be more thankful of what we get to do.
That's not what I said, but okay. Well, we gotta let you know what we're watching next time. And surprisingly, it's not Muppet Babies or Faffner Hall. It's something we actually watched and discussed forever ago, even longer than February.
Yeah.
Because it's a very special crossover episode with our friends from Muppeturgy. It's an episode that will be released here on the Commitment feed, but also on the Muppeturgy feed. It's the best of both worlds here. We are going to be discussing the Muppet adjacent TV special, The BB Beagle Show.
Nasty show. Not to tip my hand too much. It makes you feel it. Okay, so I wish I had said this on the episode, but now I'm thinking about, how when you get those dolls, like you have a doll from the 70s, like a stuffed animal, and it's like hard and the fur doesn't feel right. And it's like, why did somebody make a stuffed animal this way? That's how the BB Beagle show feels to watch. I think I recommend people listening to this watch the show before they listen to that episode.
Yeah, I think it's a interesting watch of a thing that I definitely didn't know existed before.
Yeah.
We were talking about watching it with Muppeturgy folks, and I think it's a fun episode.
Oh yeah, it's a great
about a thing
episode
that I think we all despised.
Yeah.
But it is a bizarre show that basically Hanna-Barbera tried to make a Muppet show during the peak of the Muppet Show, and they failed miserably a couple of times.
They just didn't know they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. So look forward to that next time in your feed, which will sort of be like an unofficial celebrate the 5-year anniversary of this podcast, because the week that episode comes out will be our 5-year anniversary.
Wow. Okay. How long's Muppeturgy been around?
About the same, because they started in 2021 as well, when the Muppet Show was added to Disney Plus.
Just a little celebration of Muppet podcasting, huh?
That's exactly what it is. And we're all coming together Avenger style to take over the world.
To not talk about Muppets.
Well, yeah, you know.
Nobody's perfect.
Well, before we get out of here, we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast, and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. And while you're listening to this podcast, rate and review it on your platform of choice, be it Spotify or YouTube or Apple Podcasts. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so at mail@commitment.com. You can follow us on the social media places at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky. And you can always follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.